How did we get here? Are we willing to let France continue to loot from us for how long? So they could effectively loot from the Africans. Latest figures are showing this is still going on since 1958. France today is collecting out of Africa over $500 billion before investing. We must wake up, Africans. We must think about our situation. And until we wake up and have a serious conversation with the image in the mirror, nothing, zero, zouch, is going to change in Africa, and nothing is going to change our sector.
This is a small extract from what AU Ambassador Arikana Chihombori-Quao shared about Africa's untold history and the forces that continue to shape its future. Her powerful words challenge how we see colonization, unity, and Africa's true potential. Let's watch the rest of the video.
The then Chancellor of Germany, Bismarck, realizing they're getting ready to have a European war on the African soil, called his sidekick, who by then was having havoc in the Congo, King Leopold. He said, let's bring all colonizers together. Let's meet in Berlin, Germany. Let's organize ourselves so we can effectively loot from these monkeys. So it was in 1884, from November to 1885 in February, when I started digging even further and asking myself the obvious questions that are right in our fingertips that are somehow not being discussed. How on earth do you expect individual African countries to fight this game on the world stage as little-bitty countries that we are? 135 years ago, they met to organize themselves to see to it that Africa and her children on the continent and abroad are forever defeated and dominated. 135 years later, 2019, nothing has changed. Berlin Conference gave us countries like Gambia, Djibouti, Burundi, Central African Republic, Togo. The list goes on. As a matter of fact, all African countries. And they did one more thing. They took all these little bitty countries. They had this great big old map of Africa across from them, strategizing. The more powerful the kingdoms were, the more they got along together, the more countries that came out of there, and the more languages that came out of there. Picture yourself driving from Zambia. You're speaking English. And pretty soon you are in Angola. You're speaking Portuguese. And pretty soon you are in DRC. You're speaking French. Pretty soon you are in Equatorial Guinea. You're speaking Spanish. Pretty soon you are in Cameroon. You're back English. Northern Cameroon, French. The then newly appointed president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, in his efforts to rescue these two economies, created the first ever union of any African states, Ghana, Guinea, and Mali. But what that did was it made the other African countries realize that if they go against France, this was the fate that was waiting them. So what did they do? Wait the page. And they signed. What did the pact say? One. The pact said, you monkeys, you don't know how to manage your money. So you shall deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the French Central Bank under the control of the French Minister of Finance. And that France is going to take your deposits from the individual countries, pool them together, invest them in the French stock market under the French name. And you, monkeys, you may or may not know the returns. 1963, our Pan-African leaders came together to undo the boundaries imposed upon us by the Berlin Conference. Sadly, when they went to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, they were divided. We had the Casablanca group, who were the Pan-Africanists and said, Africa for the Africans, African Union now. That was Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Egypt, Morocco, Algeria. 55 years later, we are still going slow. But all is not lost, my brothers and sisters. Last year, March in Kigali, finally, the African heads of states come together and say, enough is enough. This insanity cannot and must not continue. So they signed and agreed on what we are now calling the African Continental Free Trade Area. 52 African countries, 52 African heads of states signed on this. And after the leaders agreed on that, they then have to go back to their countries and put this decision through their parliament. We call that ratification. Out of the 52, they only needed 22 countries to ratify. March 2018, the heads of states agreed on the decision of the African Continental Free Trade Area. March 2019, exactly 12 months later, the 22nd ratification was deposited to the African Union. So as I stand here, I want all of you to know that what you have been hearing about Africa, take off those lenses that are jaundiced. Take off those lenses that are old. Let's look for the lenses that makes you look at your Africa with 2020 vision. It is a new day in Africa. We need to realize that our Caucasian brothers and sisters, they automatically come to the negotiating table on a high horse, feeling superior. That has got to change. And we too, as black people, we come to the negotiating table feeling inferior, automatically beaten down. That too has got to change. Let me conclude by sharing with you a story about one woman called Nanaya Asantua. She was the gatekeeper of the Ashanti gold stool. The British governor in the 1900s, after they had beaten up the kingdom, arresting and putting all the kings and chiefs in exile in Mauritius. The Ashanti king was already locked up in Mauritius. They were now going after this stool. Because you see, you got to understand the spirit of the Ashanti rests in that stool. So when you take that golden stool, you are taking the spirit of the Ashantis. They were going to take the stool to England. So the Ashanti men, they caved in. They went to the governor and said, well, if we give you the stool, can you bring back the king? So that was getting ready to happen. They were getting ready to sell the soul of the Ashanti people. But Nanaya Asantua would not have it. He told the men, is it that we, the Ashanti women, are standing here defenseless? She says, this stool is not going anywhere. And if you men do not fight to defend this stool, me and my fellow women shall take up arms, and we will fight till the last one of us is gone. All to see to it that Africa and her children are forever defeated and dominated. These little bitty countries were given the same sovereignty. Hear me out now. These little bitty countries, Central Africa Republic, has the same sovereignty as China. Gabon, 1.5 million people, has the same sovereignty as China, as India, as the European Union. Even the Europeans realize, as France, as Britain, as Germany, they are not powerful enough. So they came together and became the European Union. But the little bitty African countries, you stay. And I often say, if this world was to be a boxing game, even in boxing, the boxers understand that heavyweights belong to the heavyweights, the middleweights with the middleweights, the lightweights with the lightweights, and the wannabes like my sons here, they need to belong over there, out there, yonder. You don't take a wannabe boxer and throw them in with heavyweight boxer. It's like taking my poor husband and throwing him in with Muhammad Ali. You don't do that. It's just not done. But that's exactly what they're doing to Africa. How do you take Gabon with 1.5 million people, my fellow brothers and sisters, and throw Gabon 1.5 million into the same boxing ring with China, 1.3 billion? And you call that parity? And when Gabon gets his rear end kicked, and the world is like, what's wrong with you, Gabon? How did you allow China to beat you up? And nobody even goes past that. Gets even better. So it wasn't bad enough that we chopped up Africa into the tiny little countries that can never make it on their own. And should they even try to make it like Africans always do, we are easy to destabilize. We're small economies. It doesn't take much to knock us down. Well, when they were quote unquote, and I'm going to do this in quotation mark, leaving Africa between 1958 and 1961, France did something absolutely horrible. France made the Francophone African countries, and I don't even want to use that terminology, but I only use it for the purposes of conversation. The 14 countries which were formally, but still colonized by the French, they were forced to sign a document that they called the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. You heard me. The Pact for this continuation of colonization. If you want your independence, you must sign this. Guinea, Secretary said absolutely not. Mali said absolutely not. France, pack your bags and go on back home. France could not believe it. Could not understand that an African country, these monkeys, do not want to be affiliated to France. They said, we will show you. So history tells us France went into those two countries, took everything that they thought they had brought to those two countries, including the last teaspoon and chair, proceeded to pour concrete into the sewage pipes, completely devastating the two economies. Are we willing to continue, the colonizers, to continue to colonize us? Because the truth of the matter is, all of them have never left Africa. They are still very active in Africa. But they throw you stupid little issues. And because of our colonized minds, because of our minds suffering from slavery, we just follow. We refuse to think. And I'm going to take it home a little bit here. How many times some of you continental Africans? I was talking about a guy. Oh yeah, are there a lot of, this one happened to be Zimbabweans. Are there a lot of Zimbabweans in town? Oh no, I don't mix with Zimbabweans. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
How many times have you gone to Africa, you as a continental African, you sit in a restaurant to order something, and our Caucasian brothers and sisters happen to walk in. You see how quickly our own brothers and sisters abandon us to run to wait on our Caucasian brothers and sisters. So yes, we have issues with France. Yes, we have issues with the former colonizers. But also, yes, we have issues of the mind. 1958. They went further with the pact. You say, we will also print your own money. We will print your money for you. They instituted what they were calling the CFA, special currency for the African countries, and that only France can print that money for you. They went on to say all the contracts, large contracts, public and private, French companies have the first right of refusal. All your minerals discovered, yet to be discovered, France has the first right of refusal. That are stealing from Africa. They have the audacity to look at Africa and say, Africans, what's wrong with you? Why can't you all take care of yourselves? Well, let's start by leaving our $500 billion on the continent. But what they do instead, they want to throw you with a smoke screen. Your African leaders are corrupt. I mean, not all African leaders are corrupt. Africa is a family. No family is complete without crazy Aunt Sally and crazy Uncle Tom. Nobody is perfect. Their own figures are saying 50 billion is getting out of Africa from corruption. Fine, I give you that. You got two thieves, one with a briefcase with 50 billion and the other thief with a briefcase with 500 billion. I am a smart woman. You want me to ignore the one with 500 billion and put all my energies on a suitcase with 50? And by the time the one with 500 billion is done investing, we are talking trillions. Now, do you see how quickly the funds out of Africa from corruption become the larger chunk under the table?
Africa's destiny lies in our own hands. What are your thoughts on her call for unity and decolonizing the African mind? Share your opinions in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more powerful conversations, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Watch this video next. I am sure you will love it.